Hi, it's Darren Mitchell from Control and Compound. We have exciting news. October 29th in Vaughan, I'm going to participate in the Everyday Investor Summit. We're going to teach you 7 proven strategies with 7 different speakers, experts in the real estate world, on how to grow that passive income. Your money's working for you while you're not working. Check out the event, check out the speakers, in-person event in Vaughan, October 29th. You don't want to miss it. You do not want to miss this episode. Christina and I are going to break down what we learned at the Real Estate Investor Summit. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Control and Compound. I'm Darren Mitchell, and joining me, as always, Christina Wyatt. Christina, how you doing?
Hey, Darren, I'm doing great. Super pumped up, ready to take on the world after a conference. You know, one of those events where you come back excited to take on some new projects. So super excited to talk about this.
Yeah, it was really great, after COVID to have these live events again. And we spent 4 days in Toronto, and we learned an absolute ton. It was great. We talk about investing in yourself. And if you missed the conference, we're going to give you some highlights of what we learned. But I encourage you, if you missed this one, take advantage of the next one. We're going to be at the Everyday Investor one on October 29th. It's only a one-day conference. Again, just invest in yourself. It's amazing what you can learn. And it's just nice being around those like-minded people, right? Everyone's positive. Everyone's in the real estate world there. And you just get great ideas. You meet great people, made some great connections. And I can't believe how incredible that group of people were.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, before we dive in too far, I just want to remind everybody, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you subscribe and leave that 5-star review. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you always know when new content is coming out. And don't forget to follow us on our socials at Control and Compound on Instagram and TikTok.
All right. And Christina, we're going to talk about some of the presenters and presentations we saw today. But again, just, my turn for a disclaimer. We haven't actually used any of these people as yet. We've signed up for a couple of things ourselves as investors. Great people, but again, do your own due diligence. We're not endorsing anyone. Don't go invest and say it didn't work out and blame us. Like, we're just sharing what we learned. Always do your own due diligence.
Yep, absolutely. But it's great that we get to talk about the presenters. I know lots of people ask, so what happened? Like, what did you learn about there? So it's great that we get to share and talk about that today, some of the topics that we went over.
Yeah, so this was the Real Estate Investor Summit. They're actually hosting another one in February in Calgary. So don't have the dates for that yet, but sometime middle of February it's going to have in Calgary. But it's put on by Ken Dunn, and Ken Dunn's, is it Cottage Streams? And then he has this syndicate, which is a membership program where people come in and learn all the strategies that Ken has, and really cool strategies that Ken has. Why don't you talk a little bit about Ken?
Yeah, so he's awesome. Like, he's awesome up there on that stage. So, and he is not like, he's very quick to share everything, right? Like, he wants to share with people. So he's put together some programs, one of them being the Cottage Dreams Vacations program. I believe this is where he started in real estate, was on the cottage side. And what he does is he goes out and he finds dilapidated cottages. Then he fixes them. Well, he fundraises, or he has lenders that he'll use, and he'll get that private financing to hold him over while he's doing the renovations and whatnot, then switch it into the traditional financing. Then he puts them up on Airbnb, and he gets those, and he's got them rented out. Like, I think he's got a lot now from the sounds of it, but they're getting rented 365 days a year. And I know it's his real estate skills, but also he's got a lot of marketing skills. And it was cool because he'd be up there on the stage, actually, like, right into his own marketing, showing us where, how he does it, how he uses his virtual assistant to help with his reels, doing reels live from the stage. I know you tried that too, Darren, worked out really well. But just a wealth of knowledge on both ends, which was awesome. So that was just one of his programs. I actually signed up for that one because I want to learn more with the Airbnb. Why not, right?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, you go in, like, again, some of these are Ontario, so they're bigger numbers than some of the smaller regions, but buy a cottage for like $400, none of his own money, fundraises the money or private money, puts a couple $100,000 into it, makes it incredibly valuable, then goes back and gets the traditional financing after 6 or 12 months, and now has an Airbnb, super cash flowing. And then he teaches you how to do the ads for the Airbnb as well. Because again, his background was he had an ad or digital marketing agency at one point in a previous career. So it's a nice package to put it all together. But the other thing is they actually have a lender's list. So how do you get this money? Well, he has a list of big list of lenders that want to loan money. So you can I think it's just a couple $100. You can go on the lenders list, and then you can take advantage of these deals. But
Well, it's like a program too. He teaches you how to like vet the deal as well. Like everything's all about education with him, which
Yeah.
I really I like that a
yeah, like
lot.
so they show you how to build a business case. You know, all the you have to have a business case, a pro forma, all these things sort of to get him to approve the deal before he'd put that towards his lenders. So any deal going to the lenders, he's vetted. And then the lenders come in, loan that private money for the first 6 or 12 months till they can get that traditional financing after they do the lift. And the lift is the big word they always use. You buy something, you improve it, you get the lift, and then you refinance it. And it's kind of cool, you know. It was, you know, you do this, and then you can use it as your family for a week or two a year, and then you rent it out. But the first one he did, he rented it out like every single day, and said, "Oh, well, what about the families?" We bought another one, and then another one, and then okay, great, family's going to do this one. But now he's kind of elevated up to the next level where he's actually buying little resorts and then pumping a bunch of money into these resorts, making them just beautiful, getting all kinds of great facilities like hot tub, cold plunge, boats, ski boats, different activities, and adding a bunch of units there. So more big scale than just a cottage level. But again, great opportunities there that you can go in as an investor as well on stuff like that.
Yeah, that was super cool. You talk about the hot tub. So another one he was talking about was buying a hot tub company because he has a business partner that has an Airbnb that it's a tiny home. And Ken was saying, you know, all these rules that you have to follow when you're picking the perfect Airbnb location. And this guy was like, well, Ken, mine follows none of those rules. And I am booked 365 days a year. And he's like, well, how? And it was a mini Nordic spa. Coolest thing ever. Like, I'm already signed up to get one because I want one immediately. But it had like the cold plunge, the hot tub, and then a spa in the back. And you get it as a kit. So he's selling them as kits. But he was having trouble finding the hot tubs, the hot tubs that he needs for them. So he went back and bought a hot tub company. Like, come on, let's solve the problem. Buy a hot tub company. But super neat. It's called like Canadian Hot Tub. So if you have a chance, a mini Nordic spa is what they are. If you have a chance to go check them out. But I thought they were neat. I almost didn't want to share because I'm like, I'd like to buy 10 of those and put them everywhere we're going to deal. But he's already sharing, so I'm going to share too.
And then we had Eric Balance was on Balance Containers. Really cool. So the shipping containers, you know, the metal shipping containers. So what they do is they buy them from China, and then China ships them over full of cargo. So they're used once, and then his firm takes them and completely renovates them, cuts out doors, windows. He makes these stackable, and I love that he can make them for future expansion. So you can buy like one and have like a couple 100 square foot, you know, sort of bachelor pad. You can put those backyard bungalows in, backyard units, but you can stack 2 and 3 of these beside each other. You can go up. I thought it was really cool. One, he had someone put a garage in with these containers, but they had planned for a second-story apartment down the road at the cottage. So when the kids get older, they want a separate unit. And they have an architect on staff, so you can actually plan that out beforehand. But these are basically, you can buy them rough, or you can buy them turnkey, where, you know, you get a kitchen in there, bedroom, bathroom, all the electrical, foam insulation. These things are just solid. They're going to survive just about anything. They're so rock solid. They even have an off-grid one that is all environmentally friendly and solar and all that. Like, just really no limits on what you can do. It's amazing. I thought these containers would just be boxy, but they can have peak roofs. They can make them look just absolutely beautiful and indestructible.
Yeah, they were super. I like those too. So I did enjoy learning about those more. But it was neat where the idea came from. So the rules changing in Ontario, where you were allowed to add those ADUs to backyards, and people started wanting to put those additional dwellings into their backyards to make that extra income. That's where he came up with this. And he shared a website that I wanted to share with the listeners just because I think it could come in handy. So adusearch.ca. So you can go on there and you can put your address in, and it will tell you if you are zoned to be able to put that dwelling in your backyard. So if you can, you can add one of these there as well, because a lot of people are doing that, right? It's a nice little income earner. He said there's a lot of people that are maybe putting their parents, like setting their parents up, or on the other end, setting their kids up in the backyards. And then you can have Airbnbs, tenants, like all of those different things to increase your revenue. So I thought it was interesting,
cool.
and some nice, some nice resources for us to use as well.
Yeah, and of course, check your local zoning and talk to your experts in your community. Make sure you can do that. But Ken is actually using all these units for this Hay Bay resort he's building. So the resort itself is going to be.
I don't think it's Hay Bay. I think it's the PEI one. He's got, Hay Bay, I think, is already in the works being built right now. He's got a second one in PEI, because I like that because it was close to home. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The PEI resort's the one that he's using the containers for.
Okay. I thought he was using it for both. But either way, very cool. The PEI resort, I think he bought a couple castles, which is really cool. So he's turning that into a year-round thing. And then Jillian Irving was another cool presenter.
Yes, she talked about student rentals. So this is something that I wanted to learn about more about, because I do think that it's a great real estate strategy, right? She talked about in a single family home, instead of getting, $2,000 a month, you can charge per door at $565 a door and have 6 students in there, right? So she's teaching people how to find the right property for student rentals, how to run the numbers. I think one of the biggest things that she taught me was really doing your agreements properly when it comes to these types of things, and setting them up so you have clauses for cleaning clauses and different things that you can call their mom if they don't pay the rent. I was like, that's super cool. Wouldn't you love to call all your tenants moms if they don't pay the rent?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, because she said, like, she gets paid every month because the students need their parents to sign as guarantors.
Yeah.
So it's literally, if you don't pay your rent, I'm going to call your mom. Okay, don't call mom, I'll get your money. And then if they call mom, mom's going to pay, or mom and dad are going to make sure you're paid. So she gets paid. And then the other really cool thing I thought is she can increase rent every year, because those students, she focuses on students, not a young person living in a university town, but on students themselves, because they're going to be there for 1, maybe 2 years typically, and then you can increase the rent to whatever you want. So the whole rent control thing, if these people are gone, kind of eliminate that restriction on rentals, and the not getting paid's kind of hopefully gone, assuming the parents are good for it, and you do the
James
proper
said,
screening.
With occupancy, though, when you think about it, if one of them doesn't pay, it's not the full amount, right? Like, you're not out an entire month of rental income. It's just that one door that might not be getting paid, right? So it's definitely, a strategy that I want to look into myself for sure, because I think it's got, definitely something to look into. So another one we had up there for presenters was Dan Char. So I think this is like Ken's right-hand man for mortgages. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. And I understand why. He seems really good at what he does. He's got some creative financing and stuff that he was showing us up there, which was neat. Yeah,
he had some really cool ways to get financing and how to structure it and stuff. That was kind of neat. And then Simon Yan, I loved him. He was fantastic. So Simon is a condo flipper. And you're like, condo flipper? It's like, all right, but then you heard him talk about it, and it was just incredible, because what I took away from it is, all right, as a non-real estate expert, I'm a infinite banking expert who does real estate investing, right? So I'm like, if I try to do a flip and I buy a house and all of a sudden, there's asbestos in there, or the foundation needs to be replaced, or there's some major thing, that's always would be my fear. But in a condo, really, how much can go wrong? So it typically is just a lot of superficial stuff. So you get this condo that's not been looked after, outdated, not in great shape, buys the condo, private money, goes in, spends whatever he has to spend to fix it up. Now, the cool part is he can typically do these in like 2, 3, 4 months.
No, I think it was like 45 days.
45 days?
Longest one. It was 30 to 45 days, like quickest turnaround when it comes to construction and renovation.
So he is a team that does it. It might take us a little longer to find the right team to go in, but you fix it up and then you sell it. So it's kind of cool, because I don't think a lot can go wrong there. Like, you can still make mistakes in any real estate deal, but structurally, assuming the condo building itself doesn't have a problem for the 6 or 8 months you're going to own this thing, It's really cool. And then he's got a program that you can sign up and he can teach people how to do this. But he's got an incredible track record. He's expanding this, I think, across North America now.
Yeah,
And
he's
just
done a lot of condos. Like, I
he's
couldn't even believe the amount of condos he does in the run of a year. They call him the condo king, but he'd prefer to be called the condo prince.
King, you calling me old? Anyway, great guy. If you ever get a chance to hear Simon talk, it'll be worth it. And then our good friends, Investor Mel and Dave. Speaking of good people, well, Christina, we talked about this, and I can share it. Mel and Dave are someone I'd like to sit around and have a beer with. Like, we've met them now a few times, and they've been on their podcast, or they've been on our podcast. They're just really nice people. They're really nice people. So they do multi-unit investing without any of your own money or no joint venture partners. So they teach you how to get the private money to buy an apartment building, get that lift, and then refinance it. But really good presentation they put on. They have a program that people can join and learn that and be part of their community. But always good to see Investor Mel and Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just when I see their presentation again, the tools that they have available for their clients is what really impresses me. Like the calculators, the spreadsheets, because they really know that exit strategy. Like, they know the plan, they know their numbers. Like, a lot of what they talked about at the conference last week was know your numbers, right? You have to know them, and I can tell 100% know their numbers inside and out when you're talking to them, right? They know the deals, and obviously their success shows, right, in what they do.
And they've done it themselves, right? I
Yep.
think they have like 200 or 300 different doors, or more. I forget how many different units they have. I think in 4 or 5 different countries now they've done it. They've bought it in Mexico and Puerto Rico and
Costa Rica
Canada,
was a
US.
cool looking one they did.
So they've done it and now they're teaching it. And the other cool thing, they had a ton of resources for if you're part of this group. Like, oh, I need a real estate agent in Kamloops. I need a contractor in wherever. So part of their community, they have a lot of resources like that. And you get that in a number of communities. So again, the advantage of joining a real estate group, joining a community, being around like-minded people.
Yeah. And we're really just skimming the surface here too. We're just kind of the overview of it. I'm sure there's so much more in depth when you go in with these. Yeah, the presentations were a lot more than what we're saying, but just wanted to give you a quick overview.
We're trying to give you three days of content in 20 minutes. So, and then we had Equiton presented. That's a private real estate investment trust. Cool presentation. They've got some funds that cash flow comes up, and they basically buy apartment buildings, fix them up, rent them out. They had some really cool things on long-term mortgages that most of their mortgages were 10-year mortgages. They were signing up at 3%. So a lot of that interest rate risk is taken off the table from their fund, and they got a nice track record. You can Google Equiton if you want to learn more. And then Christina, you really enjoyed the Elevate Living REIT.
Yeah, it was just something different. So, people like giving back and helping. This is not giving back. You still make your returns, but they kind of focus in on doing things a bit greener. So, above code buildings, adding like car share programs to their buildings, scooter share, like a Tesla car share. So it's even greener, minimalist. So like smaller units, but still high end finishings. So still like those quartz countertops and everything else, but minimalist. And then always kind of adding an affordable housing component to what they're doing, which is nice because, in getting into multi-unit, you are solving a problem, a very large crisis that's out there right now where we don't have the housing. And it's great to add to housing, but to add some affordable housing to the mix as well with some of your investments is not a bad thing. Like, it kind of, you almost feel like you're giving back a little bit at the same time, and their numbers are still like the returns look good. Now this is just an overview, obviously, but it looked neat, something to look into.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like, a lot of real estate investors that I talk to, it's like, all right, yeah, environment and helping others, that's great. But if I lose money, I can't do this, right? And I can't. But if I'm making money, I can do a bunch. And they were the first ones that actually came into that from that environment, green sort of side to say we're going to promote this and promote low income housing, and we're going to be green and electric and all this stuff and make money.
Yeah.
So
Which
I
is
like
what you
that,
need
right?
to see.
Well, that's what we need. I think too. In society, if this green stuff's going to take off, it's got to be economically viable and profitable. That's the only way we're going to have it en masse. So it was neat to see. Again, we didn't dig in too deep on that one, but as a quick overview, it was
Cool.
kind of neat.
Yeah. And now we missed the best presentation ever, the biggest one of the weekend. Darren presented at the conference this week. Control and Compound was there, so that was super exciting. Can you guess what we talked about?
Yeah, so I did 2 presentations at the conference. Both were very well received. Just great crowd. It just reaffirms that real estate investing and infinite banking really, I think, are the perfect fit. Because everyone in that room, when they heard how the infinite banking concept can make your real estate returns that much bigger, give you that much more control to take advantage of more opportunities. We had incredible feedback. All kinds of people want to learn more and have made it to the next step to sit in on an education session with one of our wealth coaches. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool presenting a big crowd like that. All positive, and hoping to do lots more of that stuff.
Yeah, and loved meeting everybody while we were there. That's my favorite part, the networking and meeting all those new faces. Now, we missed I know that yours was a big presentation, but there were some bigger names there.
You mean there was a bigger celebrity than me there?
There was a couple, actually. Ken does it right. Like, he brings in some top-notch names and just minds that you can kind of pick, which is awesome because he does set it up so that people can ask questions as well, which you don't typically get. But the first day, the keynote speaker was Michele Romanow, and she was amazing.
She was
amazing.
So impressive to me. She is driven. She is just driven, and she talks about, she raised, I think, $4 or $5 billion of debt and a couple billion for equity for her company. She has a $1 billion company. At 28 years old, she was on Dragon's Den, but she talked about the importance of the pitch. How she would do the pitches to venture capital people trying to get money, and she'd do 100 pitches. 10 people would be interested, 2 offers, 1 would actually do business. So that's 99 out of 100 that are not doing business with you. And she talked about perfecting that pitch. And then, this is great for real estate investors, is perfecting that pitch, but knowing your numbers inside and out. Because it really hit home with me when she said, it's the questions people ask and your response to those questions that are maybe even more important than the presentation itself, because they want to know, your numbers, your ratios. So when they ask you a question, you need to know the answer. And then she talked about how they'd spend hours after every presentation trying to improve their answer 2%. Yep. It's like, okay, it was a great answer. How could we improve it 2%? And you do that 100 times. And I'm just, the way she presented, obviously she's a great presenter, but the determination and the work ethic, she was an impressive person.
Yeah, and just being in the same room with her, it's like the next day you're like, I want to do better. I want to be like her. That's who I want to be like, right? She, just inspirational when you hear those stories and you see, and she tells you, she started from the beginning. Like, she was out sturgeon fishing in New Brunswick at one point. Like, she tells a story, and it is like, it's incredible to listen to this woman and where she started and where she is now. And also the businesses that she's brought up along the way, because her company is for entrepreneurs, right? They're taking entrepreneurs and they're giving them the chance to kind of make these huge companies. She talks about like Endy's one of the companies that she brought. That's huge. So like these Canadian companies that she's brought to the table that are extremely successful, and it's because of her. So it's not just her success. She brings success with her, which is someone you want in the room.
Yeah, sure. And I think for all presenters, what I really get is, it's easy when you see a famous person, a wealthy person, a successful person to say, oh yeah, must be nice. Like, look at all the money and fame and whatever. But when you hear how hard they worked to get there, how many times they were told no, 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 how many times they almost lost it all or did lose it all and then had to rebuild.
No excuses.
No excuses, but it's like, wow, it's not easy. And then we had Mike Holmes on Holmes, really good guy. Yeah. I couldn't believe, I knew he had several shows. I didn't realize how many different shows he had and how big he was in the States and really around the world. Really talked about, just quality construction. Had a big rant, not a big rant, a big discussion on, building higher than code. For 10% more, you can build higher than code, and these homes will be that much more efficient, more safe, just built better. But really, really cool story from Mike Holmes.
Yeah, Ken brought him in because of the lift, right? He talks about that lift. So he says, well, who's the best person that I could bring in to talk about this? I think he found it, Mike Holmes on Holmes. Like, you can't have anybody else come in and talk more about renovation. So it was neat. He had a lot of some tips on when you're purchasing houses, checking for radon testing, asbestos, mold, like some of those things. I don't think a lot of people think of the radon testing yet. Was one of the big things he had talked about, that's something you want to be doing. That's not really mandatory at this point, but maybe he's thinking that it's probably going to be mandatory sooner than later. So if you can get ahead of the curve with your properties and start doing, so the radon tests are only like $250 to $300, and you can add, you can fix the problem if it's there, but they're going to start adding those. He feels that in the short term, they're going to start adding those tests, which is for the better of people. But if you've got real estate, which I'm sure a lot of people listening do, might be time to start doing those types of checks and tests and adding it to when you're doing those inspections.
Yeah. And then the final guest speaker was Barbara Corcoran. She was freaking hilarious. She was incredibly funny, and again, incredibly driven. The story she told, and how she literally started from nothing, and then started this brokerage firm selling real estate in New York City. And she said, if we had 7 agents, people think we had 70. If we had 70, they thought we had 700. And it was just
perception,
almost fake it till you make it.
Yep.
I believe she used another word other than fake it, but we won't say that word on air. But yeah, just incredible the way she built a business, and then had massive setback where her and her partner split. And then she had to start fresh. On a Friday, she was telling her staff, the half staff she was taking, report to work on Monday, where, I'll let you know. She finds an office, gets the furniture, gets AT&T in on Saturday, and is ready to go Monday morning. And the way she started with the Corcoran report and sent it to the New York Times, and how they picked it up and how that exploded her career. Just, again, incredibly driven. She sold some of the biggest pieces of real estate, the Plaza Hotel in New York City. Like, she's at that level, built an incredible career, and then went on Shark Tank bunch of years ago, and is still on Shark Tank. And the deals she's done as part of the Shark Tank, some of those are just amazing deals, but really impressive woman.
Yeah, she was inspiring to listen to where she came from and how she grew her success and how she handled her setbacks. It's incredible to hear about and to take lessons from. It's always better when you can learn from somebody else, and somebody else that's done what she's done. You're going to sit and you're going to listen. Like, I think it was quiet as a pin drop when she was speaking, because everybody was listening to what she had to say. Just tons of, she said to have fun and like things that you forget about, the perception, to have fun, like just general things that you should be doing. And she took it, like, we asked about, somebody in the audience asked about, doing your pitches and how you would do them and what you would do differently. And she sat there and she went through, she had taken the time to make sure that she gave all of her advice there for us. And it was great to be there. She also said that I looked like her attorney when we met. So like, I feel we have a connection. Like, I might go see her next. I might go see her next time I'm in New York, right? Like, I might go meet her in the penthouse. We don't know.
All right, Christina's best friend was a great presenter. Yeah, so that's kind of a recap of the Real Estate Investor Summit. Again, there's one in Calgary in February if you want to go to. Again, we were just guests at this. We're not endorsing anyone. We're just saying we really enjoyed everyone that spoke. Some really good presentations, and it just reemphasizes, COVID's over. Get to a live event. Our event in October, this event in February, some other event, doesn't matter. Get to an event, be around like-minded people. It'll pump you up, get you excited about real estate. And then if you see something you like, take action, make a move, join a club, join a real estate group, and onwards and upwards. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. And if you want more information, check out our website, controllandcompound.com, and you can sign up for an education session with one of our wealth coaches.